you're killing yourself right now. Not dramatically, not obviously, just slowly, consistently, in ways you were taught were totally fine, maybe even healthy. And the worst part? You probably woke up today, did your morning routine, felt pretty good about your choices, and had no idea you just shaved a little more time off the end of your life. Here's the thing. Most people think they know what's bad for them. Smoking, drinking, junk food, whatever. But those are easy targets. Those are the things everyone talks about. What nobody tells you is that some of the most normalized, socially acceptable, even recommended behaviors are quietly destroying your body in ways that won't show up until it's too late. And by the time you notice, the damage is already done. There's this guy, let's call him Michael. Mid-40s, never smoked, barely drank, worked out regularly, ate what his doctor told him to eat, did everything the wellness blog said to do, and then one day, routine checkup, they find something that shouldn't be there, something aggressive. And Michael's sitting there thinking, I did everything right. How did this happen? But here's the truth. He didn't do everything right. He did everything everyone told him was right. And that's not the same thing, because the reality is, a lot of what we've been taught about health is either outdated, misunderstood, or just flat out wrong. And the scariest part, the things that are hurting you don't feel dangerous. They feel normal. They feel like part of your routine. They feel like self-care. And that's exactly why they're so deadly. You don't question them. You don't even think about them. You just do them every single day, compounding the damage, building up the consequences, until one day your body sends you a bill you can't pay. And look, I'm not here to tell you that everything is poison and you should live in a bubble, but I am here to tell you that if you keep doing what everyone else is doing, you're going to end up where everyone else ends up, sick, tired, confused about why your body is failing you when you tried so hard. So if you actually want to live longer, healthier, and not spend your last decade hooked up to machines wondering what went wrong, you might want to pay attention. Because the number one thing on this list is something you're probably doing right now. And it's worse than smoking. Let's start with something small, something you probably did this morning. Something that made you feel like you were taking care of yourself. You woke up, stumbled to the kitchen, and drank a big glass of lemon water. Or maybe it was apple cider vinegar. Or some other acidic morning ritual that every wellness influencer swears by. And you felt good about it, right? You felt like you were detoxing, alkalizing, boosting your metabolism, doing something intelligent and health conscious before the rest of the world even woke up. Except you weren't. You were pouring acid directly onto your teeth and into your empty stomach, and doing it every single morning for years. Here's what actually happens. Lemon juice has a pH of about 2. That's almost as acidic as stomach acid itself. When you drink it first thing in the morning, before you've eaten anything, before your stomach has any food to buffer it, you're bathing your teeth in acid and flooding your stomach with unnecessary acidity. And sure, your teeth might look fine now, but enamel doesn't grow back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And the erosion is slow, subtle. You won't notice it until one day you bite into something cold and your teeth light up with pain. Or your dentist looks at you confused because your enamel is worn down, like someone who drinks soda all day. Except you don't. You drink lemon water. Because someone told you it was healthy. But it gets worse. Your stomach has a very specific pH balance. It's supposed to be acidic, yes, but in a controlled way. When you dump extra acid in there every morning, especially on an empty stomach, you're disrupting that balance. Over time, this leads to acid reflux, GERD. That burning sensation in your chest that you probably just accept as normal now. You might even be taking antacids for it, which, by the way, make the problem worse because they reduce your stomach acid so much that you can't properly digest food, which leads to nutrient deficiencies, which leads to a whole other set of problems we don't have time to get into right now. And let's talk about this whole alkalizing thing for a second, because it's one of the most misleading pieces of health advice out there. Your body has an incredibly tight pH regulation system. Your blood pH stays around 7.4 no matter what you eat. If it didn't, you'd die. Like, immediately. So when people say lemon water alkalizes your body, they're either lying or they don't understand basic biology. What they mean is that lemon metabolizes into alkaline byproducts after digestion, which is true, but irrelevant, because your body was going to regulate its pH anyway. You didn't need to erode your teeth and inflame your stomach lining to make that happen. And then there's the microbiome issue. Your stomach isn't just a digestion tank, it's an ecosystem. There are bacteria in there that are supposed to be there. Good bacteria that help you break down food, absorb nutrients, support your immune system. And when you chronically alter the pH of your stomach with these acidic morning drinks, you're killing off beneficial bacteria and creating an environment where harmful bacteria thrive. And this doesn't just affect your stomach. Your gut microbiome is connected to your brain, your immune system, your mood, your skin, everything. So that innocent little morning ritual, it's quietly dismantling your internal ecosystem. But the worst part is how this all ties together. You drink the lemon water because you want to be healthy. Then you get acid reflux, so you take antacids. Then your digestion gets worse, so you don't absorb nutrients properly. Then you feel tired and foggy, so you drink more coffee. Then your stomach gets more irritated, so you take more antacids. And the whole time, you think you're doing everything right because you started your day with lemon water. It's a slow cascade, and by the time you realize something's wrong, you've been doing it for a decade. And here's the kicker. The studies that people cite to justify this, most of them are either misinterpreted or funded by companies that sell lemon-based products or alkaline water machines. Shocking, I know. Turns out when a company pays for research, the research tends to support whatever that company is selling. But nobody reads the fine print. They just see the headline. Lemon water boosts metabolism. Apple cider vinegar detoxifies your body. And they believe it because it sounds scientific, because everyone else is doing it, because it feels like self-care. So, if you've been doing this, stop. Just stop. Drink regular water. Your body knows how to detox itself. It's called your liver and kidneys. They've been doing it since you were born. You don't need to help them with acid. Now, let's talk about sleep, because if there's one thing people are obsessed with, it's optimizing their sleep. And I get it, sleep is important. But somewhere along the way, we turned sleep into a performance metric. We started tracking it, scheduling it, stressing about it, and in doing so, we made it worse. You've probably heard that you need 8 hours of sleep. Everyone has. It's been drilled into our heads since childhood. And if you're not getting 8 hours, you're failing. You're unhealthy. You're going to die early. So you set your alarm to make sure you get exactly 8 hours. You download a sleep tracking app to monitor your REM cycles and deep sleep percentages. You stress about your sleep score. And if you wake up and your app tells you only got 6 hours and 43 minutes, you feel like garbage before your day even starts. But here's what nobody tells you. The 8-hour rule is a myth, or more accurately, it's an average. Some people need 9 hours, some people need 6. Your body doesn't care about the number, it cares about cycles. Sleep happens in roughly 90-minute cycles, and waking up in the middle of a cycle feels awful. That's why sometimes you can sleep for 9 hours and feel destroyed, and other times you can sleep for 6 and feel amazing. It's not about the total time, it's about where you are in the cycle when you wake up. But we've turned sleep into a rigid, anxiety-inducing ritual. And the stress about sleep is worse than the lack of sleep itself, because stress releases cortisol, and cortisol is a sleep killer, so you're lying in bed, staring at your sleep app, worried that you're not falling asleep fast enough, which makes your cortisol spike, which makes it harder to fall asleep, which makes you more anxious, which spikes your cortisol even more. It's a feedback loop, and your sleep app is making it worse. And let's talk about alarms for a second, because alarms are one of the most violent things we do to our bodies. Your brain goes through different stages of sleep. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep. And deep sleep is when your brain does the heavy lifting. It's when your body repairs itself, consolidates memories, clears out metabolic waste. It's critical. And when you set an alarm, you're essentially telling your brain, I don't care what stage you're in, you're waking up at 7 a.m., whether you like it or not. So, what happens when your alarm goes off during deep sleep? Your brain gets ripped out of a restorative process. And it's not like flipping a light switch. Your brain doesn't just wake up clean and ready. It wakes up inflamed, disoriented, flooded with stress hormones because it thinks something terrible just happened. Because in evolutionary terms, the only reason you'd be jolted awake from deep sleep is if a predator was attacking you. So your body reacts accordingly. Heart rate spikes. cortisol floods your system, and you stumble out of bed feeling like you got hit by a truck. And you do this every single day, for years, decades. And over time, this chronic disruption causes real damage. Brain inflammation, memory problems, cognitive decline. Because your brain never gets to finish its cleaning process. It's like if you stopped a dishwasher halfway through every single night. Eventually, the dishes don't get clean. Eventually, things start to break. And here's the irony. The more you try to control your sleep, the worse it gets. The more you stress about getting exactly 8 hours, the more you disrupt your natural sleep rhythm. Your body has an internal clock. It knows when to sleep and when to wake up. But we've overridden it with alarms and schedules and apps and anxiety. And now, we wonder why everyone's exhausted all the time. The solution isn't more tracking, it's less. It's trusting your body, it's going to bed when you're tired and waking up when you're done. And I know that's not realistic for most people because we have jobs and responsibilities, and society doesn't care about your circadian rhythm. But the point is, the more you fight your body's natural rhythm, the more damage you do. And the more you stress about sleep, the worse your sleep gets. So maybe stop treating it like a test you can fail. Now let's talk about food. Specifically, the food your doctor told you to eat. The food that's supposed to be heart healthy and good for you. The food that's been recommended by nutritionists and public health organizations for decades. I'm talking about vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, all those healthy oils that replace butter and lard because saturated fat was supposedly killing everyone, except it wasn't. And these oils are. Here's the story. Back in the mid-20th century, there was this guy named Ansel Keys. He did a study linking saturated fat to heart disease. And based on that study, the entire Western world decided that fat was the enemy. Butter was out, margarine was in, animal fats were demonized, and seed oils were promoted as the healthy alternative. And we've been eating them ever since. They're in everything. Restaurant food, packaged snacks, salad dressings, frozen meals, even things labeled healthy or organic. If you're eating food that didn't come directly from a farm or your own kitchen, you're probably eating seed oils. And here's the problem. These oils are chemically unstable. They're polyunsaturated, which means they have multiple double bonds in their fatty acid chains. And those double bonds are vulnerable. When you heat these oils, when you expose them to light or air, they oxidize. They break down into toxic byproducts, aldehydes, free radicals, compounds that cause inflammation, damage your cells, and oxidize your cholesterol. And oxidized cholesterol is what actually causes heart disease, not cholesterol itself. Cholesterol is just doing its job. It's trying to repair damage in your arteries. But when your cholesterol gets oxidized by these toxic oils, it becomes the problem. It sticks to your artery walls. It forms plaques. It clogs your arteries. And then you have a heart attack, and your doctor says, "See, high cholesterol. You should have eaten less saturated fat." Except the saturated fat wasn't the problem, the seed oils were. But it gets worse. These oils don't just damage your heart, they damage your liver, because your liver has to process all this oxidized fat. And over time, this leads to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is now one of the most common liver diseases in the world. And it's not from alcohol, it's from vegetable oil. And then there's the inflammation. Because these oils are high in omega-6 fatty acids, and omega-6 promotes inflammation. Now, you need some omega-6. It's essential, but you also need omega-3 to balance it out. And the ratio matters. Ideally, you want a 1-to-1 or maybe a 4-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, but the average Western diet, it's more like 20-to-1 or even higher, because we're drowning in seed oils and barely eating any omega-3 rich foods like fish or flax seeds. And chronic inflammation is the root of almost every modern disease. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders. All of them are driven or worsened by inflammation. And we're pouring inflammatory oils on everything we eat. And here's the most frustrating part. The original study that demonized saturated fat, it was flawed. Ansel Keys cherry-picked data from 7 countries to support his hypothesis, and ignored data from 16 other countries that didn't. And even after this was exposed, even after other researchers pointed out the problems, the damage was done. The food industry had already invested billions in seed oil production. The public health organizations had already published their guidelines. And nobody wanted to admit they were wrong, so they doubled down. And we're still living with the consequences. So if you're cooking with vegetable oil, stop. If you're eating out and everything is cooked in seed oils, which it probably is, understand that you're eating oxidized inflammatory fat that's slowly damaging your organs. And if your doctor is still telling you to avoid butter and eat margarine, find a new doctor. Let's shift gears and talk about something you probably did today without thinking about it. You took a shower, maybe even a hot one, and you used soap, maybe even antibacterial soap, and you felt clean. You felt fresh. You felt like you were doing the responsible hygienic thing, except you weren't. You were stripping your body of its natural defenses and setting yourself up for a weaker immune system and worse skin. Here's the thing. Your skin isn't just a barrier, it's an ecosystem. There are billions of bacteria living on your skin right now, and most of them are good. They're protective. They crowd out harmful bacteria. They produce compounds that support your immune system. They help regulate oil production and keep your skin healthy. And when you shower every day, especially with hot water and harsh soaps, you're killing them. Hot water strips away the natural oils on your skin. These oils are called sebum, and they're there for a reason. They keep your skin moisturized. They create a protective barrier against pathogens. They maintain the slightly acidic pH of your skin, which prevents harmful bacteria from colonizing. And when you wash them away every day, your skin has to work overtime to replace them. And if you're showering with hot water, which most people do, you're stripping away even more oil because hot water is more effective at dissolving fats. So what happens? Your skin gets dry, itchy, irritated, and you think, oh, I must need lotion. So you buy lotion, and now you're stuck in a cycle. You strip your skin's natural oils with hot showers, so you replace them with synthetic lotions, which don't work as well. So your skin stays dry, so you shower more and use more lotion. And your skin never recovers because you never give it a chance to. And then there's the soap, especially antibacterial soap. Because antibacterial soap doesn't just kill bad bacteria, it kills everything. It's indiscriminate. And when you wipe out your skin's entire microbiome, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. Because nature abhors a vacuum. And when you kill off all the good bacteria, the bad bacteria are the first ones to move back in. Except now there's no competition, no good bacteria to keep them in check. So they colonize faster and stronger. And you end up with more infections, more acne, more skin problems than you would have had if you just left your microbiome alone. And here's the part that should really worry you. Overuse of antibacterial products is contributing to antibiotic resistance. Because these products don't kill 100% of bacteria. They kill 99.9%. And that 0.1%, those are the strongest ones, the ones that survived. And now they're the ones reproducing. And over time, this creates strains of bacteria that are resistant to antibacterial agents, which means when you actually need antibiotics, when you have a real infection, they might not work. Because you spent years training bacteria to resist them by using antibacterial soap on your hands every day. And let's zoom out for a second. Humans did not evolve to shower daily. For the vast majority of human history, people bathed occasionally, maybe once a week, maybe less, and they were fine. Because our biology expects a certain level of microbial exposure. Our immune systems are supposed to interact with bacteria. That's how they learn. That's how they get stronger. But we've created this hyper-sanitized environment where we're terrified of germs. So we scrub ourselves raw every day, and our immune systems never get the training they need. And then we wonder why allergies and autoimmune diseases are skyrocketing. This doesn't mean you should never shower, but it does mean you probably don't need to shower every single day with hot water and antibacterial soap. Your body can handle a little dirt. In fact, it's better off with it. Now let's talk about stress, because everyone knows stress is bad. But what most people don't realize is that the way they're trying to manage stress is actually making it worse. And in some cases, it's feeding the exact diseases they're trying to prevent. You've probably been told that exercise is good for stress, and it is. But there's a difference between movement and chronic cardio, and most people are doing the latter. They're running 5 miles a day. They're doing high-intensity interval training 6 days a week. They're pushing their bodies to the limit because they think more is better. because they think if a little exercise is good, a lot of exercise must be great. Except it's not, because exercise is a stressor. It's a beneficial stressor when done in moderation, but it's still a stressor. And when you do too much of it, especially without adequate recovery, it stops being beneficial and starts being destructive. Here's what happens. When you exercise intensely, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and in short bursts, it's fine. It mobilizes energy. It helps you perform. But when cortisol stays elevated for too long, it becomes a problem. It suppresses your immune system. It breaks down muscle tissue. It promotes fat storage, especially around your midsection, and it increases inflammation. And here's the scary part. Chronic high cortisol levels suppress your natural killer cells. These are the cells in your immune system that hunt down and destroy cancer cells and infected cells. They're your first line of defense. And when you crush them with chronic cortisol from overtraining, you're giving cancer cells a free pass. You're creating an environment where abnormal cells can grow unchecked. And there's data on this. Studies on marathon, runners, and ultra-endurance athletes show higher rates of certain cancers and infections compared to people who do moderate exercise, because their immune systems are chronically suppressed from the constant stress of training. And sure, they look fit, they look healthy, but internally, their bodies are breaking down. And here's the irony. People do this because they're trying to manage stress. They had a hard day at work, so they go for a punishing run to blow off steam. Except they're not reducing stress. They're adding more stress on top of existing stress. And their bodies can't tell the difference between work stress and exercise stress. It's all just cortisol. It's all just inflammation. And it's all piling up. And then there's the addiction aspect. Because exercise releases endorphins, you get a runner's high, you feel good, and that feeling becomes addictive. So you chase it, you run harder, you train longer, and you ignore all the signs that your body is breaking down. The constant fatigue, the nagging injuries, the fact that you get sick more often than you used to. You ignore it all because the endorphins make you feel like you're doing something good, but you're not. You're masking adrenal fatigue with a neurochemical reward system. And eventually, your body sends you a bill, and it's not a small one. Now, contrast this with gentle movement. Walking, tai chi, yoga. These activities actually lower cortisol. They support your immune system. They reduce inflammation, and they're sustainable. You can do them every day for the rest of your life without destroying your body. But they don't feel productive. They don't give you that same endorphin rush. So, people dismiss them as not real exercise. And they keep running themselves into the ground. If you want to manage stress, move your body, but stop trying to punish it. Let's talk about something you're doing right now, something you do all day, every day without thinking about it, breathing. And odds are, you're doing it wrong, and it's slowly suffocating you. Most people breathe through their mouths, especially when they're focused or stressed. And most people breathe shallowly, using their chest instead of their diaphragm. And both of these habits are destroying your health in ways you probably never considered. Here's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to breathe through your nose. Your nose filters air. It warms it. It humidifies it. It produces nitric oxide, which dilates your blood vessels and improves oxygen delivery to your cells. Your nose is designed to be an air intake system. Your mouth is not. But most people breathe through their mouths. And when you do that, you're bypassing all of those benefits. You're inhaling unfiltered cold, dry air directly into your lungs. And over time, this causes problems. Dry mouth, throat irritation, increased vulnerability to infections because you're not filtering out bacteria and viruses. And worse, you're not producing nitric oxide, so your oxygen absorption is less efficient. Which means even though you're breathing, you're not getting as much oxygen to your cells as you should be. And then there's the way you breathe. Most people breathe with their chest. They take shallow breaths that only fill the top part of their lungs. And this is a problem because shallow breathing keeps you in a state of low-level stress. Your body interprets shallow, rapid breathing as a sign of danger, because that's how you breathe when you're scared or running from something. So your nervous system stays in fight or flight mode. Your cortisol stays elevated, your heart rate stays slightly elevated, and you never fully relax. Even when you think you're calm, your body thinks you're stressed. Because your breathing is telling it, you are. And this has consequences. Shallow breathing reduces the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood. And carbon dioxide isn't just waste, it's a signal. It tells your body to release oxygen from your red blood cells into your tissues. Without enough carbon dioxide, your cells don't get the oxygen they need, even if you're breathing a lot, even if your blood is fully oxygenated. The oxygen just stays in your bloodstream and never makes it to where it's needed. It's called the Bohr effect, and most people have never heard of it. So you're breathing all day, but your cells are starving for oxygen, and this affects everything. Your energy, your brain function, your recovery, your mood, everything. And it gets worse. If you've been mouth breathing since childhood, which a lot of people have because of allergies or soft diets that don't require much chewing, it's changed the structure of your face. Mouth breathing causes your jaw to develop differently. It makes your face longer and narrower. It crowds your teeth, and it restricts your airway, which leads to sleep apnea, which means even when you're asleep, you're not getting enough oxygen, and you wake up exhausted, and you have no idea why. And here's the really disturbing part. This affects your brain chemistry. Chronic shallow breathing and poor oxygenation change the way your brain functions. It increases anxiety, it impairs memory, it reduces cognitive performance, and, over decades, it contributes to neurodegeneration, because your brain is the most oxygen-hungry organ in your body, and if it's not getting enough oxygen because you're breathing wrong, it's going to decline faster. So, right now, close your mouth, breathe through your nose, breathe deeply, into your belly, not your chest, and pay attention to how much harder it is than you expected. That's how far you've drifted from the way you're supposed to breathe. And you've been doing it for so long, it feels normal. But it's not. It's suffocation in slow motion. All right, now we need to talk about something that's going to make you paranoid. And honestly, you should be. Because this one isn't really your fault, but you're suffering the consequences anyway. I'm talking about your water, the thing you drink every day. The thing you assume is safe because it comes out of a tap in a developed country, except it's not safe, it's contaminated, and it's making you dumber, sicker, and less fertile. And there's almost nothing you can do about it. Let's start with microplastics. They're everywhere. In the ocean, in the air, in the soil, and in your water. Every time you drink tap water, bottled water, filtered water, you're drinking microscopic pieces of plastic. And these aren't just passing through your system, they're accumulating in your organs, in your bloodstream, in your brain, and in your reproductive system. Studies have found microplastics in human testicles, in ovaries, in placentas. And these aren't passive particles, they're hormonally active. They leach chemicals like phthalates and BPA, which are endocrine disruptors, which means they interfere with your hormones. And when your hormones are disrupted, everything else breaks down. Your fertility drops, your libido drops, your mood destabilizes, your metabolism slows. And if you're pregnant, these chemicals cross the placental barrier and affect your baby's development. And there's new research showing that microplastics cross the blood-brain barrier, which means they're getting into your brain. And once they're there, they cause inflammation. They disrupt neural signaling. They contribute to cognitive decline. And we don't even know the full extent of the damage yet, because this is a relatively new area of research. But what we do know is bad enough. And then there's PFAS, forever chemicals. They're called forever chemicals because they don't break down. Ever. They accumulate in your body, in the environment, and they're in your water. They were used in non-stick cookware, water-resistant clothing, food packaging, firefighting foam. And now they're everywhere. They're in rain, in groundwater, in drinking water. And they're toxic. PFAS exposure is linked to cancer, thyroid disease, immune system suppression, developmental issues in children, and reproductive problems. They interfere with your hormones, just like microplastics. And just like microplastics, they accumulate. You can't get rid of them. Your body can't break them down. They just build up over time. And the more you're exposed, the higher your body burden becomes. And here's the kicker. Water treatment plants don't remove PFAS. They don't remove most microplastics either. And the filters you buy for your home, they help a little, but they don't catch everything. A Brita filter might remove chlorine and improve the taste, but it's not stopping PFAS or microplastics. You'd need a reverse osmosis system or a very high-end filter to even make a dent. And even then, You're not eliminating the problem, you're just reducing it. And let's talk about fluoride for a second, because this one is controversial and people get weirdly defensive about it. But here's the reality. Fluoride accumulates in your body, specifically in your pineal gland and your bones. And there's evidence that high levels of fluoride exposure are associated with lower IQ in children and potential impacts on thyroid function and bone health. Now, I'm not saying fluoride in toothpaste is going to kill you, but drinking fluoridated water every day for your entire life means you're getting chronic, cumulative exposure. And your body doesn't need fluoride. It's not an essential nutrient. It was added to water to reduce cavities, and it worked for that. But the cost might be higher than we thought. And here's what makes this whole situation so frustrating. You can't escape it. You can buy the best filter on the market, and you're still getting some level of contamination. You can avoid plastic bottles, but microplastics are in the rain, they're in the food, they're in the air. You're breathing them in right now. And PFAS are in your bloodstream whether you like it or not, because they've been in the environment for decades. This isn't about individual choice anymore. This is about infrastructure, about industrial pollution, about the fact that we've contaminated the entire planet with chemicals that will outlive us by centuries. And your body is paying the price. Your fertility is paying the price. Your brain is paying the price. And future generations are paying the price. So, what do? You do what you can. You filter your water as best as possible. You avoid plastic bottles. You reduce your exposure where you can. But you also accept that you can't fix this alone. This is a systemic problem, and it's not going away anytime soon. Now, let's get to the big one, the one that's killing more people than almost anything else. And it's something you're probably doing right now. Right this second, as you're sitting there, listening to this, absorbing information, thinking you're being productive. You're sitting. Or maybe you're standing at a standing desk, feeling smug because you know sitting is bad. Except, standing doesn't fix the problem. Because the problem isn't sitting, it's stillness. And stillness is killing you faster than smoking. Here's the thing. Your body is designed to move, not exercise, not work out. Just move. Frequently throughout the day. For millions of years, humans were in constant motion, walking, squatting, bending, reaching, carrying. Your cardiovascular system, your lymphatic system, your musculoskeletal system, all of them evolved under the assumption that you'd be moving most of the day. But modern life has made you static. You sit in a car, you sit at a desk, you sit at dinner, you sit on the couch. And if you're really health conscious, you stand at a desk for a few hours. And you think that's better, but it's not. Because standing still is just vertical sitting. It's the same problem. You're not moving. And when you're not moving, everything breaks down. Your blood pools in your legs. Your circulation slows. Your risk of blood clots increases. Your muscles shut off, literally. When you sit or stand still for too long, your muscles go into a hibernation-like state. And when your muscles aren't active, they're not pulling glucose out of your bloodstream. So your blood sugar stays elevated. And over time, this leads to insulin resistance, which leads to diabetes, which leads to heart disease, which leads to an early death. And it's not just your metabolism. Your spine compresses when you're static. The discs between your vertebrae need movement to stay hydrated. When you sit or stand still, they dry out, they degenerate, and you end up with chronic back pain, herniated discs, nerve problems, all because you weren't moving. And then there's your lymphatic system. Unlike your cardiovascular system, which has a pump, your heart, your lymphatic system doesn't. It relies entirely on movement to circulate. When you move, your muscles contract and squeeze your lymph vessels, pushing lymph fluid through your body. And lymph fluid is how your body removes waste and fights infections. But when you're static, your lymph doesn't move. Waste builds up. Your immune system weakens. And you get sick more often. And here's the part that should terrify you. Even if you exercise, it doesn't undo the damage of being static for the rest of the day. The research is clear on this. If you sit for 10 hours a day, going to the gym for 1 hour doesn't fix it. Your body doesn't work that way. You can't out-exercise a sedentary lifestyle. Because the problem isn't that you're not exercising enough. It's that you're not moving enough. And modern humans are static for an insane amount of time. You sleep for 8 hours. That's 8 hours of stillness. You sit in a car or on a train for an hour. You sit at a desk for 8 hours. You sit at dinner for an hour. You sit on the couch for 2 hours. That's 20 hours of stillness. 20 hours where your body is barely functioning. And you do this every single day, for decades. And then you wonder why your body is falling apart in your 40s. And here's the cruel irony. Standing desks were supposed to fix this. Everyone got scared about sitting being the new smoking, so they bought standing desks. And they stood there for 8 hours, static. And now they have varicose veins, knee pain, hip pain, foot pain. Because standing still is just as bad. It's not the position. It's the lack of movement. The solution isn't sitting or standing, it's moving. And not just once a day at the gym, constantly, throughout the day. Every 20 minutes you should be shifting positions, walking around, stretching, squatting, anything that gets your muscles contracting and your blood flowing. But almost nobody does this. Because we've built a society that demands stillness, offices, cars, schools, everything is designed to keep you static. And your body is paying the price. And the worst part? You're doing it right now. You've been sitting or standing still this whole time, listening to this, learning about how bad it is, and not doing anything about it. So here's what you're going to do. Right now, stand up, move around, shake it out. Because if you don't, you're proving my point. All right, so now you know. You know that your morning routine is poisoning you, that your sleep optimization is making you more tired, that the food your doctor recommended is destroying your organs, that your hygiene habits are weakening your immune system, that your stress management is feeding your cancer cells, that you've been breathing wrong your entire life, that your water is contaminated with forever chemicals and microplastics, and that sitting here doing nothing is killing you faster than smoking ever could. And here's the reality. You can't fix all of this. You can't avoid every toxin. You can't move every 20 minutes if you have a job that won't let you. You can't breathe perfectly and sleep perfectly and eat perfectly and exercise perfectly and filter every drop of water and detox every chemical. You can't. Because modern life is designed to kill you slowly, and you're stuck in it. But here's what you can do. You can stop volunteering for your own destruction. You can stop drinking lemon water because an influencer told you to. You can stop obsessing over your sleep score and just trust your body. You can stop cooking with seed oils and buying antibacterial soap. You can stop punishing yourself with chronic cardio. You can close your mouth and breathe through your nose. You can filter your water as best as you can. And you can move, just a little, just enough to remind your body that it's still alive. Because the truth is, you're going to die anyway. Everyone does. But there's a difference between dying because your time is up and dying because you spent 50 years doing things you were told were healthy that were actually killing you. And the difference is knowledge. You have it now. You know what's actually hurting you, and that's more than most people will ever have. So, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to go back to your lemon water and your standing desk and your 8-hour sleep schedule and pretend everything's fine? Or are you going to make a change, even a small one? Because small changes compound, just like damage compounds. And the direction you go from here determines whether you're adding years to your life or subtracting them. And look, I'm not going to beg you to subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to smash the like button or ring the bell or whatever. You're either smart enough to see the value in this kind of information, or you're not. You're either the kind of person who wants to know the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, or you're the kind of person who would rather stay comfortable and ignorant. And if you're the latter, you probably stopped watching 10 minutes ago. So if you're still here, you already know what to do. There are thousands of people who figured out that everything they were told was a lie, and they're done with it. They're done trusting the system. They're done doing what everyone else is doing and expecting different results. And if that sounds like you, stick around, because this is just the beginning. Now go move.